Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is that you're joining me for this video. Thank you once again for clicking on the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel. The subject of today's video is the Nettuno 1911 Fountain Pen. Once upon a time, there was a young man. His name was Nino, and he lived in Italy. One day he decided that he wanted to improve the course of human development. So what does he decide to do? Well, make fountain pens, obviously. Nino continued to make and sell fountain pens throughout the world until one day, in the year 1982, he and two of his buddies started a brand called Delta. This brand made and sold fountain pens for the fountain pen world for some time. That is until the year 2017, when the brand closed its doors and went out of business due to distribution and financial decisions that were detrimental to retailers, thereby affecting sales as well as the overall reach that the Delta brand once had. Oh yeah, there was also that gold-infused steel nib idea that made about as much sense as that 90-year-old martial artist that thought his no-touch kung fu would work in a real fight. After the doors of Delta closed and the founders went their separate ways, Nino decided that defeat was not an option. So he got back up, dusted himself off, and upped his game. From his experience, both good and bad, as well as his determination, Nino created a brand called Mayora. With Mayora, Nino revived a long-lost brand named Nettuno. Nettuno was a brand that was originally established in the year 1911 in Italy. They made fountain pens until the later half of the 1950s, and it was about this time that the ever-stupid ballpoint pen invaded the human race, corrupting all things good and wonderful in the world, causing diminished sales for the Nettuno brand, resulting in production of fountain pens coming to a halt. Since then, the Nettuno name brand has been used again and again to produce pens that typically maintain very little lineage with the original brand. However, as of last year, the year 2018, Nino, drawing inspiration from his passion and love for the beautiful waters of Italy and the vintage pens of the original Nettuno brand, as well as the mythology of the god of the sea, basically Aquaman, he designed this new themed series of fountain pens called the Nettuno 1911. This one is the TriTone color. That's all I have for the background information. Moving on to the neutral zone. Those elements about the pen that are neither good or bad, or can be good or bad depending on you. Our nib is a number 6 sized stainless steel nib made by Bock. It has the brand logo as well as 1911, the year the original Nettuno brand was established, engraved on it. The inner portion of the nib has a matte finishing that gives the nib a two-tone look with its outer polished steel border. Under the 1911, we have the nib size. This one is a medium. The feed is the standard cheapy plastic feed found in many modern fountain pens from countries all over the world. The nib and feed are friction fit in a nib housing that doesn't seem unscrewable. The grip section is a dark navy blue, slightly concave grip section made of injection molded resin. The grip threads are unified with the grip and have threads on the interior of the chimney of the grip threads to hold the included threaded converter. The grip threads screw into the thread assembly of the body that is made of the same navy blue resin in the grip. The outer part of the thread assembly has threads that screw into the cap. After the thread assembly, we have a band decorated with arches representing the porticos of building architecture in Italy, as well as to accent the theme of the pen. The barrel is a non-tapering cylinder and is made of a dense, light-colored silver acrylic with slightly darker gradients of silver swirling through the length of the body. At the center of the barrel, the brand name, 1911, and Made in Italy is engraved. At the end of the barrel is another arch band, once again accenting the theme of the pen. After the trident band, we have a tapered, unscrewable blind cap, made of the same navy blue resin as the grip. The end of the blind cap has 0038 engraved on it, indicating the pen is a numbered series, although not a numbered limited edition. Unscrew that and you have two things. 1, a metal thread assembly to hold the blind cap, and 2, the exposed end of the included threaded converter. This pen is designed to be filled two ways, either by removing the grip and filling via traditional means, or by removing the blind cap and filling as you would a piston filler. The cap is made of matching acrylic and resin as the rest of the pen. It maintains a cylindrical shape with no tapering. The finial has two polished raised relief-style waves atop a matte finished disc. As in the nib, this gives the finial a two-toned look. This disc is part of a navy blue resin chimney. This navy blue chimney is accented by two polished rings. The clip is an L-bracket style tension-fixed clip with slanted edges and a ball at the end of the clip. The clip is decorated by a raised 3D trident. The center band is a slim band, the same used in the finial assembly. The pen was packaged in a black outer open-ended cardboard box with a cutout for a hinge. Slide that off and you have your pen box. That is a brick of black foam sandwiched by two plastic matching sized hard rectangles. The top is designed with a face and the brand name and model. It is kept closed by an elastic band around one end. Open the box by removing the elastic band and rotating the top rectangle like the hands on a clock. You have your pen resting inside the foam block with an hourglass cutout holding the pen in place. The included threaded converter, which comes pre-installed, appears to be a standard size converter modified with an extended metal piston knob built into it. Also included is a booklet with brand information and warranty info. That's all I have for the neutral zone. Coming up next, the good. Those elements about the pen that are good.
Hi, I'm Tom Otto with Goldspot Pens.
I'm Roy of the PenBoyRoy Fountain Pen Review channel.
Thanks to Kenro Industries, Goldspot Pens and PenBoyRoy proudly invite you to enter in a massive giveaway of a litany of stickers including 4 sheets of Esterbrook stickers, loose stickers, Esterbrook name brand stickers, an unreasonably huge typewriter sticker, and arguably the best sticker of the bunch, a PenBoyRoy sticker. Oh, and there's also an Esterbrook SD pen too.
To enter for a chance to win this ridiculous bounty of stickers and the pen, click the link in the video description below where you can enter in a bunch of ways. You have until March 31st to enter.
Prevent a stickerless future.
Enter now. Starting with the way the pen writes, this nib is described as highly flexible in the included information booklet. Now, in spite of that, this is not a quote-unquote flex nib in the way of a full flex nib. Having said that, it must be said that this nib certainly offers a significant amount of line variation, particularly for a steel nib. Now, I can't say with any confidence if this is intentional by design or just a happy coincidence on the part of Bock, but in either case, I would caution the user not to take it too far. While the cheapy plastic feed is not often known for providing the best ink flow for pens that require substantial ink supply, it's fair to say that in the case of this pen, it does a decent job. Does it starve here and there? Maybe, if you write with this pen while constantly flexing. After a while, there is a possibility that it will run dry. I have not personally experienced it. However, if you use this pen for occasional line variation to start off a sentence or a paragraph, you're more than likely not to run into any issues. The normal non-flex writing experience is not too shabby either. The ink flow is consistent and can best be described as on the drier side. The nib overall is super smooth. There is very little in the way of any feedback. It feels so smooth, it even had me worried of the possible occurrence of baby's bottom. However, after using the pen for some time, my concerns were unfounded. I never had any issues with hard starts or baby's bottom. Writing with the pen unposted feels comfortable. At the same time, a mouse hair on the back-weighted side. Posted, the length is extended and adds a touch more to the back-weighted feel. As for the build quality of the pen, it's fair to say that this is a very well-made and solid pen. In the hand, it feels substantial, dense, and sturdy. It's moderate in terms of weight, but the solid and tight tolerances of the pen make it feel like it weighs more than it actually does. The quality of the acrylic is another noteworthy point. This is an Italian-made and poured acrylic that is very rich and complex in aesthetic with regard to depth and complexity of such a simple color. It has varying levels of gray within the swirls and appears to have more depth and density than it actually has in physical reality. Like the sea that it was inspired by, the acrylic looks as if it were a constantly moving fluid, but it's not. Now, let's talk about the finer details. I have inspected this pen up and down, and what I noticed was what wasn't there. I'm talking about the navy blue portions of the pen. As I said before, these sections are injection molded. However, upon very close examination, and I'm talking a 12-year-old boy getting his hands on his first Playboy magazine level of examination, I can't for the life of me find any relief marks to indicate injection molding. That says to me that not only is design and unique character a major part of making this pen, but so are the super tiny details that an OCD person like me would go all Rain Man in an airport over. I also love that the threads are super smooth and snug. There isn't any wiggle room or play when it comes to capping the pen. It caps and uncaps in a hair under one rotation and comes to a snug, articulated stop. Last, I always love a threaded converter. It just adds an extra element of security when it comes to filling it with ink, especially in a pen that can be filled via the blind cap and you're unable to see the connection between the converter and the pen. The converter could come loose and you would be none the wiser. That is, of course, until it leaks into your pocket, giving you an inky crotch if you're anything like me and keep your pens inside your pants pocket. So the added safeguard is a welcome element that could have made this design much less appealing. That's all I have for the good. Moving on to the bad. Let's talk coin. This pen has an MSRP of $395. With retailers online in the US, such as Goulet Pens, it can be had for $316. There's a link in the description below if you're interested. Now, that's a lot of cheddar for a steel nib pen. Now, I'm not saying that the price is not worth this Italian handmade pen with its design elements and artistic identity. What I am saying is, it's not the most accessible price without understanding why it costs what it does. All the elements that make this pen stand out, such as the Italian acrylic, the Portico arch bands, the trident clip, and the finial, all cost money to make. These parts are not pre-made, mass-produced, generic stock commercial parts readily available to buy in bulk. They had to be designed, and then machines had to be designed, engineered, and made to make the parts. So what you end up with is a pen that's not generic or familiar, but rather unique and different in design and theme. And that may not be worth it for everyone. And no matter how you cut it, it's getting hit over the head when it comes to paying the bill, but not the worst case when it comes to high-end Italian luxury pen brands. That's all I have for the bad. Moving on to the ugly. Those elements about the pen that should not be, but are. When it comes to quality control, nothing was out of place. And when it comes to the build quality, it's solid. So if I really had to nitpick, which I do, because that's what makes me me, I would say that the navy blue resin used in the grip, end cap, and finial assembly may not have been the optimal choice. Not because it's not acrylic, or the color, but more so because of its properties. It's not as resistant to fine micro scratches as the acrylic. And since the Philly Pen Show, which is where and when I picked this up, I developed several fine scratches of which I can't seem to place where, when, or how they even occurred. They are super fine. They're similar to what a brand new DVD looks like at a certain angle after wiping it with a microfiber cloth. Now, they are not noticeable unless you know they're there and you're looking for them. But that's exactly what I did and what I do. And now that I found them, my OCD lizard brain kicks in. Having said that, the scratches are minor, and I can certainly live with it and love this pen with them. It's certainly worth having the pen with the micro scratches versus not having the pen at all. That's all I have for the ugly. It's high noon. Decision-making time. Should you or should you not pull the trigger on the Nettuno 1911 fountain pen? Like I said in the bad, this pen costing as much as it does puts this pen out of reach for a good portion of the fountain pen virus infected population. And again, that doesn't mean it's not worth it. I do think that this pen is for the connoisseur of fountain pens whom the design appeals to. It's for the fountain pen virus infected individual that is infected deeply enough that they can appreciate the elements about the pen that make it more than just a pen, but rather a work of art inspired from both nature and mythology, meaning Aquaman, and are willing to spend the money or save up money for it. In either case, if you're that person, then you won't regret pulling the trigger on it. That was my review on the Nettuno 1911 TriTone fountain pen. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you again for watching. Love you guys. Be well, be safe.